I'm very interested in the, plant-based versus, meats and dairy and all that, because I'd love to hear what you guys think on that. About 3 months ago, I changed to a plant-based diet. I'll still have fish on occasion or seafood. I don't eat dairy. I definitely started feeling better and noticed it pretty quick. And I've been doing reading and, watching YouTube videos and TED Talks and all that kind of stuff and podcasts. And kind of what I've taken away from it is it's really about quality of the food, right? Like you were saying about the meats, right? So a lot of the studies out there, they're looking at the normal American diet where it's like a Big Mac and a quarter pounder and you know what I mean, as opposed
no
to
grass fed,
right,
no regenerative farming,
right. But in terms of like meat or like a carnivorous diet, an omnivorous diet, like where you're mixing in some meats like that, or dairy in particular, I'd just love to hear what you think about that and the impact that has on just wellness in general, but also, mental health and all that stuff.
I definitely think gluten and dairy are very bad for us because it definitely increases our inflammation. And inflammation is kind of the root of most diseases that we end up getting, autoimmune diseases, chronic diseases like lupus, Crohn's, IBS, colitis, and even depression, anxiety can all be led from that. In terms of meat versus plants, I really leave it up to my client. I'm not going to say you can only eat plants because I only eat plants, or I only eat meat, so you must be a paleo. It's really personal. And when we start to restrict things for our clients, they're going to feel stressed, and we don't want that. We're trying to relieve stress from their life. So I leave it up to them and what their personal values are, because some people are animal advocates and they don't want to harm an animal, and that is amazing. I wish I could do that, but my body, I actually was vegan for a year and I could not get the balance for myself. My body did not respond well. I was losing my hair, my nails were very brittle, I was anemic, and I love animals and I really wanted to be this animal advocate, and I stressed myself about it because I'm like, I feel so guilty, I'm a terrible person, I can't not eat animals. And then I realized, you know what, my body's just the way it is, and I can't really change my personal DNA and biology. So what I do is I eat meat like once or twice a week instead. And when I do grass-fed. I try to do regenerative farming, where the animals are raised with a great amount of land, they graze on that land, they defecate on that land, that feces gets back in the soil, so the roots of those plants go deeper, grab more nutrients out of the soil, they eat that grass, they feel better, they're healthier cows, and it just goes in a full circle. It's like an ecosystem. So when I do suggest, it is really about the quality, and even eggs make a huge difference, and it's just crazy how like little actionable things can make a huge difference in our lives. So it's really based on someone's preference, and I'm not going to make them change their moral code or their values, but I work with that. And what my system is just making sure they get their nutrients like fat, fiber, cruciferous vegetables, and protein. And you can get that from either a plant-based or a more meat-heavy based diet, and it all works. It's just don't eat, like we all need our fats like omega-3, 6, and 9, but there's also oxidized versions of them like sunflower oil, canola oil. Those are bad fats, but fats in general, they're good because our brains are mostly fat. They're like 60% fat. So if we're not eating fat, we're kind of like a deprivation in our brain, and they're going to be like, what's going on? Our brain's not, it's going to be more atrophied. So it's definitely a personal decision, and whatever it is, I can respect it, and I can help them find those nutrients in the foods that they like, is what it's really all about. So yeah.
I love how the way you approach it is it's almost like baby steps in a way, right? Because if you give them the win and they start feeling better, like if you literally just said, hey, what do you say we try to take dairy out just for a couple days, or and if they felt worse, then you say, okay, well maybe then it's not for you, right? But or let's sub those eggs for these eggs, and then just wait a little bit, and they go, wow, I feel a little better. And it's like, well, why don't we try this or try that, right? You're not trying to get them to do it overnight. It's almost similar to like an exercise regimen, right? You take someone who's been a couch potato or in an office all day, and then you're like, okay, we're gonna run this, right? They're gonna go out one time, they're gonna like blow out their knee, and they're gonna be like barely able to like sit down and stand up, and they're gonna be like, this is terrible, I'll never do it again, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a very responsible approach approach.